Good day. This is Maureen Cascante and we will be discussing to you today our research proposal. This video presentation consists of the title of the study, significance of the study, hypothesis of the study, objectives of the study, framework of the study, sources of data, methods of analysis, and the study's research design. Before we proceed, I would like first to introduce my group mates who are also responsible for the study. First, Almoguera Clarissa, Kalangian Mary Joyce, Chan Shania, Garcia Jimlin, Hernandez Angelo, Leonardo Zoe, Mendoza Rica, Kilatan Daniel, and Tisado Michelle. Each has been given a part to discuss, so we will be starting off with Mendoza and Garcia as they present the title of the study.
The research is entitled Comparative Analysis of Social Media Effects on Self-Esteem and Anxiety Levels of Grade 12 Senior High School Students of Bernardo College for the second semester of school year 2020 to 2021. The general purpose of this research is to compare the effects of social media on mental health of grade 12 senior high school students of Bernardo College. This only included the tenets under self-esteem and anxiety levels of individuals. This study used a causal comparative analysis method to provide a concrete comparison of the variables included. The research used this method to explain the differences and similarities and aids in establishing connections between the independent and dependent variables.
The independent variable used in the study is social media. Here, it is used as computer-based technology that, through creating visual networks and communities, enables the exchange of ideas, thoughts, and knowledge. This is the variable that brings significant changes to the dependent variable, which are the self-esteem and anxiety levels, which vary from person to person. Anxiety in this study refers to the body's natural reaction to stress, characterized by feelings of tension and worried thoughts. On the contrary, self-esteem, as used in this study, refers to the confidence, trust, and respect a person has for his or herself. The term students will be pertaining to the grade 12 students of Bernardo College as the chosen respondents of the research study.
This research seeks to examine the effects of social media on the mental health of the respondents. This aims to promote deeper understanding by presenting a generalized finding to keep the use of social media by students within limits in order to minimize the detrimental impact that it has on their mental health. The different groups benefiting from the research are as follows. Users of social media, government agencies in consolidating the mental health law, the faculty members and educators, parents, students, and lastly, future researchers.
This tries to inform first the social media users of the positive influence social media has in boosting an individual's self-esteem and the possible dangers in rising anxiety levels thereof. There is a need for software and social media platform creators to consider setting limitation on this social media usage of individuals who are still under their parents' supervision. Second, this study aids government agencies in consolidating the mental health law to provide timely, affordable, and high-quality mental health services and facilities made available to the general public. Third, these guides faculty members and educators in proposing strategies and implementing activities and initiative designed to improve the students' psychological and emotional well-being.
The This will be beneficial to the parents as they will be able to monitor their children's behavior and be aware to their emotional needs. This then leads to taking necessary steps and preventive measure either by allowing or limiting their child's use of social media to ensure their mental health. This also paves the way in coordinating with the educators to maximize the capacity of the guidance provided to their children. To the students, as direct beneficiaries of this study helps them benefit from becoming a responsible users of social media. This addresses the need of self-evaluation and self-assessment as to how their self-esteem and anxiety coping levels are being affected of social media. The students are being properly informed of the ways to utilize the factor of boosting self-esteem or deal with it as factor triggering anxiety. Lastly, this research serves as a basis of information and relevant materials, particularly on future studies under the field of science and psychology that focus on the effects of social media on an individual's mental health.
The following hypotheses were tested in the study. First, females have higher anxiety levels than males. This was supported by the study conducted by Johnson, 2019, entitled The Effects of Time on Social Media and Anxiety. Second, males have higher levels of self-esteem compared to females. This was supported by the study conducted by Blydorn, 2016, entitled Self-Esteem Gender Gap More Pronounced in Western. Last, the longer the exposure to social media usage, the higher the levels of anxiety among the students will be. An increase in the exposure to social media usage will result to lower levels of self-esteem among the students.
The objective of the study is primarily aimed to assess and compare the effect of social media on mental health focused on self-esteem and anxiety level. Moreover, the specific possible study objectives that can be served by this research are as follows. First is to determine how each sex group is affected by social media usage in relation to their self-esteem and/or level of anxiety. This first objective deals with determining the effect of social media usage, taking into consideration the attributes under each sex group, namely males and females. The next objective is to assess if the length of social media exposure significantly affects self-esteem and/or anxiety level. The length of social media exposure refers to the time spent on social media, determined by how frequent the respondents use these platforms daily. This will be assessed using attributes rarely, or those who use social media 2 hours and below a day, occasionally, those who use social media 2 to 5 hours a day, frequently, those who use social media 5 to 7 hours a day, and always, or those who use social media 7 hours and above. Moving on to the last objective is to compare the effects of social media usage to the student's self-esteem and anxiety level, with equal numbers of respondents among males and females. Here, the level of self-esteem and anxiety will be measured in accordance to the questionnaires of the study conducted by Wood 2019 as well as Rosenberg's self-esteem scale.
The framework shows the comparative analysis noted on the separation of the variables being compared, namely the levels of self-esteem and anxiety. The researchers classified the two concepts into high and low levels so as to measure these dependent variables to determine the levels of each mental health aspect.
Under these are the social media usage being determined by the length of exposure upon using the said online platforms. And the gender differences under male and female serve as the attribute that will help this research to modify the strength of relationship between independent and dependent variables more accurately. This study is based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This five-tier hierarchical level consists of different needs to reach self-actualization. The fourth level included having to fulfill self-esteem needs by gaining deep self-respect and personal worth to attain self-actualization.
As the primary source of data, the researchers will conduct a survey among the grade 12 students of Bernardo College, with the topic focused on the effects of social media has on their self-esteem and anxiety levels. Survey questionnaire will be formulated based on a secondary data and skills. Slovine's formula was used upon calculating the sample size with a 95% confidence level, a 5% of margin of error, and a total sample size of 124 respondents to be divided into two. As a study will be covering 62 equal male and female respondents. Furthermore, the researchers gathered secondary data from records of statistics, articles, and other related databases. The 1965 to 2021 data were collected from different medical sites and authoritative databases, specifically the ERIC or the Education Resources Information Center database, Google Scholar, and CORE, the world's largest collection of open access research papers database. Furthermore, medical information from organizations such as Mayo Foundation for Medical Education and Research, American Psychology Association, and National Health UK were used as well. Statistical data from Statista Research and Analysis were used as another source of data. The data gathered from about the established relationship between social media and anxiety were gathered from the study of Wood entitled Social Media Use and Emotional Experiences During Adolescence, Predictors and Results Across the Cultural Contexts, and of Johnson's The Effects of Time on Social Media and Anxiety, both of which were published last 2019. On the other hand, data gathered regarding the established relationship between social media and anxiety were gathered from the study conducted by John, Sumro, and Ahmad in 2017 entitled Impact of Social Media on Self-Esteem, the time series data provided by the different websites of authoritative databases, articles, and statistics were considered.
The researchers will be using the formula estimated value of y is equals to the beta sub 0 plus b1x1 plus b2x2 plus epsilon, which determines the sum of all linear parameters where y is the predicted value of the dependent variable, or in this study, the value of self-esteem and anxiety levels. B sub 0 is the y-intercept or the value of y when all the other parameters are set to 0. B1x1 is a regression coefficient of the first independent variable or the gender difference, x1, and b2x2 is the variable social media exposure and its weight or regression coefficient. In multiple regression analysis, the error term is assumed to be 0.
The study used a quantitative approach in establishing a fundamental relationship between social media and anxiety and self-esteem. by creating a connection between the empirical observation and mathematical expression of quantitative relationships through the use of survey questionnaires, the Rosenberg Self-Esteem Scale, and Revised Child Anxiety and Depression Scale. Quantitative analysis was done through the use of statistical modeling. With the use of causal comparative research design, the study examined the effect of cost variables of social media usage. These are exposure, gender, and difference on self-esteem and anxiety levels. The study employed a descriptive research design in describing the correlated concepts: self-esteem versus self-image, self-worth, self-confidence, self-efficacy, and self-compassion, as well as anxiety versus stress and depression. The descriptive design is further used to describe correlated theory, symptoms and causes of high and low anxiety, and factors influencing self-esteem levels.